Alright, greetings everybody. So this is going to be a Arcdim stream. I'm going to showcase how I do the fight, just some of the tips I have. A lot of ways to tackle this fight. I do highly recommend you do this with a partner. You have better access to artifacts and gearing sides, since both players can usually bring their own Abyssal Crown for both sides, which will help with damage output. Most players don't have multiple Abyssal Crowns, so that's going to be a big deterrent on doing both sides. But I am capable of doing them, so I'm going to showcase how I do it and show you guys the gearing and how we tackle this. So this is going to be stage 3, the highest difficulty. Showcase gear and how we tackle this. So first off, physical side. So we are going to be using a ranged DPS. As a team that uses a ranged DPS, a extremely effective trick is to use the Golden Mask of Ancient King. Once this procs, this basically cancels out the Blade Spin ability that the boss does. As noted in Blade Spiral here. Additionally, when there are no targets hit by the attack for a certain period of time, it will automatically dispelled, or it is automatically dispelled. So the attack itself will actually cancel. So once the Ancient Mask goes off, it's hitting Klaus, but it's hitting invulnerability, so it's dealing no damage. I think the way they have it coded is the skill doing damage. So if it doesn't do any damage for a short period of time, the skill will cancel out. So that is a way to cancel out that Blade Spin entirely. Because we are canceling the Blade Spin this way, we generally do not need to worry about the additional dodge chance that the boss has, so we don't need to gear up with accuracy in order to tackle the physical side. Then additionally, there is the bleed stacks. There's a couple ways to deal with this. One, you will need a dispel in the party. Good options for this are Juno, Rayhartna, or Estelle are all good options for having access to a cleanse to the party. There are some other options, but those are generally going to be your best options between those three. I personally run Juno and Estelle, or sorry, Juno and Rayhartna. I think dropping Juno for Estelle is generally better because of the damage output. And her healing over time is also very good. With Rayhartna's S3 cooldown effect, the cleanse comes up fairly frequently, and then also Rayhartna, just every time she casts 3 skills, she'll also cause a cleanse to happen. So it's pretty good to have her in. Additionally, the defense increases that she offers, such as 30% physical defense added from E5 Dark, is extremely effective of keeping your backline alive through the bleed until the cleanse happens. Additionally, on Juno, I am running the anti-penetration perk. You can also run this on Rayhartna with her S1, but the uptime is at 100%, whereas this is always active, as long as Juno's alive. The defense penetration, the boss does have some, but not a lot of defense pen, but it is another way to reduce the damage taken. As for gearing your priest, specifically, there's 2 main ways you can go about this. You can go with a high amount of physical defense and HP, to just drastically lower the damage dealt by the bleed stacks. The attack itself doesn't do that much damage, it's actually the bleed that will kill you. So it is important that you have enough defense and HP to survive the bleed until a cleanse actually happens. In the case of Juno, she will always cleanse herself just whenever she casts S3, which is on a fairly low cooldown, so she herself usually isn't at too much risk. The thing is, you want her to be able to cast the AoE cleanse in order to get the bleed off everybody else. But we are taking that anti-penetration just to lower the boss's damage a bit. That does also lower the bleed damage as well, as it does check against the player's defense. The other way to deal with it is through P-dodge. The attack hits 8 times, but every attack of it you dodge is a less amount of bleed stacks that are inflicted on you. With lower bleed stacks on you, that does mean that the overall damage of the bleed will be significantly lower. This isn't a guaranteed way, but with a modest amount of dodge, say 500 P dodge, you are likely to dodge about half the hits. So that actually will lower the bleed damage significantly. So we're going to be using a combination of defense and P dodge on Rayhartna. And then she also just has a lot more life because she just happens to have a 5-star UT. So just her extra HP, she usually doesn't have too much issue surviving this. Now on to Celine. I am full geared with TM. We're going to be using 2595s. I do have some life steal on an enchant. That way I can get some life back. We do need that as she does need to life steal in order to not die to the bleed. She does not have near as much defense as the priest, so she's going to take significantly more damage. But luckily, as long as she's attacking and not casting some of her longer-winded skills, she'll be able to lifesteal until a cleanse happens. She does occasionally die, and that may happen here while I'm doing the stream. So fair warning on that. It does happen, but try to reduce the rate of that happen too frequently. I think you can possibly take Mortal Wound just for the tick, because I believe you do get the lifesteal off the dot damage still. But I haven't fully tested that, and I don't know if that's necessarily ideal. Additionally, we don't have a crown in the physical team, so damage output is actually really important because we just don't have that big damage increase. We are running Infernal Gate just for extra defense as well as damage increase, just to help with survivability and defense. There are some other options. Hybrid Animals is a really good option, as the damage increase is good. I don't fully know if the non-hero damage reduction works here. The bosses are designed to ignore damage reduction effects, which does include toughness. I don't know if it includes the non-hero damage taken, so I'd have to do some more testing on that before I'd commit to say that that's worth using. This increasing defense, I know that defense does help, so this is the safe bet. Alternatively, you can go with stuff like Line of Protection, just for bigger defense. You can go Guardian Crystal, there's only one enemy, so you get the big physical defense from that. Those are kind of your options, I think. Now on to the magic side. So, magic side, we are running Jane. We want her to have access to the cleanse, so that way she can remove the M defense shred that the boss has. The boss does lower your magic defense, so we want to make sure we have a cleanse in the party to get rid of that, so that way the backline is safer. Jane also, through high stars of her unique weapon, does offer a pretty substantial attack down reduction, so we're going with that just to reduce the overall damage of the boss. Jane with the increased heal rate means even as we get stacked up on heal or heal reduction, she'll still be able to heal significantly well into the fight, and then just all the self-healing that she brings with her Day of Ruin. So survivability on her end, mostly focusing on M defense and high amounts of M block. The M tough does not work here, sadly, so going with M block defense is going to be your next best bet to lower damage. Because when you do block, you can reduce the damage. The soft cap for M block defense is, I believe, 250, but it is, or no, it's 200, I believe. Check. Yeah, it does cap out after either 200 or 220, somewhere around there. It starts to reduce its effectiveness. Because if it was 250, then this would be 25% on the block defense. So yeah, on the physical or on the defense side, so 200. It is okay to go over. I know some people kind of say like, oh, once it hits soft cap, don't go any further. I don't think that's true, and especially here, since toughness doesn't work and block defense is going to be your main way to reduce overall damage, coupled with a high block rate. Since we are at 9,000 block rate, and with T5 light we get an extra 200 M block. So, I mean, we're looking close to like 93-ish, give or take, % block rate. So, Jane's going to be blocking almost every attack going to her, and this additional reduction just means you're just going to take less damage on each of those hits, so don't have too much HP. We don't have high star investment for UT or soul weapon, so she doesn't have too much HP. But we're stacking just tons of M defense. We got some MP attacks, so that way she can handle her own mana. But we are also running Shay in this party, so she's going to get a ton of mana anyways. Now for magic side, I am going to be doing a little trick here that I do find to be helpful. Orb of Contract adds a substantial amount of M defense to your main DPS. Since it is percentage based on your attack value, and the amount is added as flat M defense, it's not able to be reduced even by reductions. Like percentage reductions will apply to your base stat sheet, and does not apply to flat values gained from other stats. So we have this minus 25% defense orb on Kara, so that's going to lower substantially. And then in addition, one of her perks lowers her defense by 60% while she's in siege mode. So we're losing 85% of our defense. The thing is, we're only losing 85% of her stat sheet of this 19,000 defense. So we're only going to end up with, just only a couple thousand defense, like 2, maybe 3,000. This is where the Orb of Contract comes in. So we got 1.2 million attack. We have one piece of gear that increases attack by 50%. Got additional attack ups through her Transcendence perks. And with that substantial attack increase, she's looking well over 2 million attack once we're in battle and everything gets buffed up and she gets crowned. She's going to be well over 2 million defense. Or sorry, 2 million attack. So at 2 million attack, you get 2.5% of your attack value added as flat defense. This stacks every 7 seconds and stacks 6 times. So if you got 2 million, you're gaining 50,000 M defense as flat M defense per stack, and I get that 3 times. So she's going to have 300,000 magic defense. Even with the reductions, she's going to have over 300,000 magic defense. And as you saw with Jane, who's got 189,000, she'll get more from perks, so she'll be close to 300. Basically, Kara's going to be tanking hits just as well, if not better than Jane, in many cases. At least the unblocked hits. Lateral, we're going with a heavy amount of M defense and M block as well. And we are running Crown. I do recommend that if you are doing this solo, that Crown is on the magic side. The magic side does have a little more complications with killing the boss in time, because the boss does take reduced damage as the fight goes on. So damage output is a lot more important on the magic side. Also, there is no effective gimmick to bypass the stacks that you have to reduce on the magic side. Like, you can't use Ancient Mass, you can't use Demia to fast shred stacks or anything like that. There's a couple tricks on the physical side. Magic side, you're just entirely, there's only 2 ways to get him to stop doing the Meteor Prison of Extinction. This is the attack that lowers your healing over time. The 2 ways to bypass it is to complete the total number of hits, which on stage 3 is actually 220 hits. So you have to either score 220 hits on the boss to make him stop doing it, and that does take a while. The other way is to push him to the 66 or 33% threshold, where it triggers his nanoprotective force field. So he'll actually stop doing whatever he's doing to activate this ability. And that includes stopping doing the Meteor Prison. So ideally, we just go for raw damage. Even if you don't have a high hit count DPS, if you could just DPS him quick enough to the 66, 33, and then down to 0 mark before he's able to stack this heal reduction, then you are able to win the fight. So I do recommend that if you are doing this solo, the crown should go on your magic team above all else because of the requirements on this side. Want to make sure that Lateral's nice and tanky, so again, just a good amount of M defense. Priests do have naturally high M block and M block defense. We just wanted to augment that block chance, so that way she has plenty of reduction on the hits that she's taking. And we are running Lateral to reduce the crit chance, as the boss does have crit resist. That's 300 reduction, so we need 1200 crit technically to be crit capped with Lavril running her S1. And Kara has 940 on her own thanks to Pressure Point. And then I am perked with both. Oops. Shit, get back here. Yeah, so we're gonna run both crit perks on both the priests. That's gonna add another 200, so that's gonna bring Kara to 1140. She's still short by 60, but we just want to make sure she's as close as possible. Kara is doubly effective by not being able to crit. Not only do you miss out on the crit damage modifier, which is important for damage output, just period, on every DPS. On Kara, it's double effective because her UT2 allows her to gain cooldown reduction, but only on critical hits. So the frequency of the S2 cast are absolutely dependent on how frequently you're critting. The less you're critting, the less S2s you cast. The less S2 you cast, the less damage you deal. So that's why we're gearing that way and making sure we're as close to that crit cap that we need. As for Shea, not as much M defense. I would like to get more M defense on her and more M block. She is not as tanky as Lavril in this case, just because my gearing, I want to make sure she has plenty of MP sec. You don't really need the, well, yeah, you don't really need the CC resist if she's got the CC immunity up. But we still want to make sure that she's CC cap just in case it's ever down. We don't want her getting interrupted on a cast. But we also want to make sure she has enough attack speed to rotate through her songs at an effective pace. We do run tough runes on her. If I had different runes, this is probably a lot easier to tank her up. So how I'm getting around this is by using Guardian Crystal on her, just to give her a substantial defense increase, just to help her tank through. Shea's healing is generally enough to power through. Even once the heals reductions stack up quite a bit, she's still able to heal through. But sometimes she can just get randomly one-shotted because of the damage taken. There's one of the abilities on this boss. It says this deals massive damage, but generally this one's not too bad to deal with. This one's usually the one we have trouble with. So gather energy, attack a random enemy a total of 8 times. If all 8 of those hits landed on a single person, that person's likely dead. I have no idea how to like effectively deal with that other than just really stack up M defense and pray. Usually they don't all land on the same person, but it does happen. One character will just get hit with a large portion of the attacks. So on average they should be hit with 2. But I've seen like 5 hits go into a single target on occasion. Now, I did mention the crit chance on the magic side. For physical side, we don't need the extra crit on Celine necessarily, though her crit is fairly high. She's at 870, another 200 from her S4 because of the extra 2 stacks that we gain. She does lose 300, but again, that's countered by the 500 she gains here. So she has a net gain of 200. So she's already crit capped even without crit chance from the priest. That's also why I'm not running the crit boost on Juno. Hardna doesn't need crit chance boost, but we'll just keep it on there for now. That page for some other content. Now, for physical side, this is one of the great things. So, Klaus is UT2, reduces enemies' crit resist by 500. This completely counters the crit resist that the stage 3 boss has. And this 500 reduction is on the base UT. You don't even need to start it up. Starting it up reduces the enemy's crit chance. And boss doesn't crit, so that doesn't do anything. So you just run that UT. His other UTs usually is for Amp, which, well, Amp doesn't work here, and I guess you could run some extra defense and a self-cleanse for himself. Again, that's not really needed. But yeah, this one ability just completely nukes the boss's crit resist. So we're nuking his crit resist and his P dodge at the same time because of the Ancient Mask and using range DPS. So again, that's why I think physical side just has it easier. There's just really cheesy ways with his ability. Whereas magic side, there's no real direct cheese way other than doing a ton of damage around it. Alright, let's go ahead and start this run. Unfortunately, this fight is full auto, so you don't get to see any input or gameplay from me as far as my ability to play this game or effectively fight content. Which is disappointing. I really wish they didn't do that. I kinda understand why they did. They wanted more auto-friendly heroes to be viable here instead of just manual superhero type characters, trials and stuff, but I still think it's kind of stupid. I don't like this auto content. Yeah, you can see how much the bleed damage is doing, and everyone got cleansed out of it. Rayheart in a third cast. Here comes the Beyblade. Waiting for an Ancient Mask proc. There it is. So the Ancient Mask procs, and he'll stop the ability now. Physical side, you need about 320 mil DPS to kill it in the time limit. So right now we're on pace, and Celine does get stronger as the fight goes just because of her stacking crit chance from her perk. Oh, that was weird. We somehow triggered the knockdown because he started the Beyblade and then fell over. Weird. That bleed's hurting a little bit, but again, with the penetration reduction, it actually lowers the damage of that pretty significantly. Even though Celine doesn't have too much defense, she's only got 35,000 PDIF. She's able to survive that for the most part. Comes bleed. Oh wow, that bleed got cancelled entirely. Super lucky. This is without ground. She's able to pump out 400 mil DPS, so doing real strong here. Gonna be the last bleed inflicted on us. We can see that it's definitely hurting quite a bit, so we want that cleanse to come as quickly as possible. Skills, there it is. Got cleansed out. Juno's doing a bulk of the healing. Alright. Now for the magic side, it's a little different. So like okay, so this is the part that's weird. So this is technically a two-way fight, so the game is counting the time from both sides. So the longer you take on the physical side, that time is counted against the magic side for the DPS meter. I'll pause this near to the end to kind of showcase why the damage numbers are messed up. The bosses have similar HP. Like the physical side has about 56 billion, and the magic side has somewhere around 52 billion. Yeah, so here's the heal reduction. I want to DPS the boss down. Sometimes I get the stacks down, sometimes I just get him to 66%. So Kara's lucky on that as she has both high damage. Yeah, we actually hit the 66 before we canceled the attack. We did end with 23 heal reduction stacks, so there's 3 portions of the fight, 66, 100, 66, and then last 33%. So you want to make sure that the amount of stacks you're gaining is under 33 per thing, because you want to still be able to heal here. The other way around it is you got to put recovery on all your backliners, which, that's rough. We're only at 37 stacks, so our damage is pretty high. So luckily we've been able to... This is just a really good rotation this cycle. Just the timing that he did. Oh, Shea got killed. That's what I warned about. She got picked off by that multi-target lasering. Even with all the defense, she just gets unlucky and gets targeted. Everyone else is tanking some of this damage just fine. We did lose our main healer though, so this run's probably a wash. We're at 75 stacks though. Jane's still tanking and healing up a bit. Kara's fine as long as Jane doesn't die, but Jane's probably gonna go down soon. Last chance where she's up. Jane or Kara's not critting as much, and yeah, when she's at 100 stacks, you can't even lifesteal because we don't have the extra recovery. But let me explain the damage. So it looks like Kara did a lot lower damage than Celine. Like Celine was over 400 mil DPS, Jane or Kara's only at 189 mil. But again, the time from the first fight is applied to this fight on top of this. So it's a 3-minute fight, and 41 seconds are remaining. So we've been in the fight for a total of 139 seconds. Kara's did 49,706,035,581. So 49,706,035,581. And we were in the fight for 139 seconds, so if we divide that by 139 seconds, her actual DPS was 357 million. And this is with Shea dying early, so if Shea didn't die, her damage would actually be much higher. I've actually mapped this out where my Kara is doing somewhere in the neighborhood of like 600 million. So, yeah, the damage numbers are always going to look really weird on the magic side because of the way this fight's set up. It's technically a two-way fight, and then it switches your party. And then they're starting from 0 damage because none of these characters did damage in the first wave of the fight. That's why the damage numbers look really weird on the magic side. And look a lot lower, even though they're not. Go through this again. I just want to have an actual completed run. My success rate is not 100% yet. I need to do some gearing on Shea, tank her up so she just doesn't randomly die. That was just really unfortunate. Oh, Rayhartna bit the dust. Guess that dodge didn't work for the bleed. Yeah, I prefer just stacking physical defense. I think it's the safer way to go. Stack enough physical defense. 120,000 PDIF is probably enough to just never get threat to die. Well, we still might clear it though. We got a minute left. Last 30%. Yep. Okay, Juno got a quick cleanse there. Let's hope he doesn't bleed again. Fortunately, Rayhartna didn't get all her stacks on for the extra defense and attack, so damage isn't as high as it could be, but it's still high enough to clear. Make sure we get the cleanse. Self. Celine's still bleeding. Alright, there's the cleanse. Woo! Got in it close. Oh! Yeah, still working on some consistency for this. We can do it, though. Yeah, if just Rayhartna was alive, we would have been fine. actually really surprised she got killed. It's actually usually Juno that has more trouble. They both have similar defense. Like, Ray Hartness is a little lower, but Ray Hartness also has like 40% more HP. That's just really surprising. Now, one thing I'm not sure on, I think the bleed is just a flat damage value. I don't think it's percentage of health. They're just stacking HP and physical defense, I believe, is the best way to reduce the damage. As far as I'm aware, increasing your max HP shouldn't increase the self. I think that's more so like when the boss gets low HP, he starts dealing more damage. Part of his gimmick in his last 33%. No, actually, my Estelle is actually more invested now. I just use Juno just as a preference for her defensive nature. I do believe that Estelle is better overall. I just don't think I have the right gearing necessarily to fit her in. I could try her, but I do believe Estelle is more likely better than Juno. Right? Just Juno's really convenient with her anti-penetration perk. A great way to lower the boss's damage output, and that's something Estelle doesn't have access to. Ray Hartnett has the ability to reduce enemy penetration, but it's not 100% uptime like Juno's. Like, Juno's is just effective, like, you take the perk and that's it. It's automatically on. There's no way, like, there's no ability that has to be cast. It's just always active. That and just Juno herself also just brings a ton of healing. And she's really safe for herself because she can self-cleanse herself every 6 seconds. So she's almost at no risk of herself dying from. Whereas Estelle's cleanse is on a much longer cooldown. Estelle being an archer, though, generally has higher physical defense than priest, though, so. Oh, shoot. There's a problem with Orbit Contract. Sometimes you just get unlucky before it stacks up enough. You get hit with enough hits when it's only got like 1 stack, so she only has like 50k M defense. Or just got deleted. The Orbit Contract is good, but yeah, I mean, P-Block's good, but I mean, the backline is mostly a threat from the bleed, which you can't block bleed damage. Like, I don't disagree with the assessment. Like, Estelle, like, if you ask me straight up who's better, Estelle is better than Juno. Like, full stop. Like, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. The main reason I was using Juno is comfort pit. We'll try to switch some gear here. Would the orb and bracelet that Juno had on, and see if we can make this work. Yeah, so 118,000 physical defense for herself. So we set on the full uptime penetration. I'm just going to take the damage perk. Life. Patient for the party. X speed and for everybody, just so we don't have mana problems. I don't think the people are gonna help. Her shredded amps don't work. Oh, whip, because whip doesn't work. Amp. And yeah, I'm sure my Celine will kill faster, but safer. Maybe. I mean, we'll see. Usually I'm not this unlucky. I've been able to do several fights clear. My clear rate's usually around 75%, so the fact that I've lost like 3 times in a row here is pretty unlucky. Yeah, this damage is fucking stupid. Like, Estelle's damage boosting is absolutely... There's no crown in this party, and she's doing 570 million DPS. Bosses, like, we're not even 1 minute into the fight and the boss is already halfway. This is so dumb. Alright, so we'll see what happens with the bleed here at the end. Blade, Crown, Ancient Mask, there we go. Bleed. This Estelle actually healed way more than mine. So yeah, that's probably actually better. It is better. But, I don't know, just Juno was a comfort pick. Alright, so Magic Side, hopefully we don't get unlucky with him just barraging my Kara at the start of the fight. One stack, usually second stack. Third stack, she's safe. Alright, yeah, she should be safe now. Yeah, Shea just almost got fucking yeeted from the fucking random lasers. Yeah, just M defense is super important on this side. I think Moira might be slightly better than Juno just for the extra M defense she gives the party and just her hit count for shredding the stacks. But my damage is high enough that I usually get burst the boss down to the next damage threshold before the stacks stack up. Just focusing on damage on the magic side is way, I think, and that's also why running lateral is really important. Damage boost she offers, as well as the being one of the only characters that can reduce enemies' magic crit resist. We're only at 37 heal stacks. It's gonna be a easy win here. Kill it before the stacks disappear. That's the question. So it's dead. I'm going to pause it here real quick. So just to explain the damage and why the damage meter is so wonky here. Or wait, I didn't get the time on the fight. Shoot. Anyways, that's a clear. We'll just grab him. But yeah, again, like your DPS on the magic side is way different than it actually is. Like it says 289, so like, oh, Kara did like half the damage that Celine did, where in actuality they were probably neck and neck, or almost doing the exact same damage.
That was an easy battle.
That's how I do it here. Again, I do highly recommend you group with a partner. Just the access to better artifacts on both sides of the fight makes this fight extremely easier for both parties. I prefer to group for it. I just wanted to demonstrate that I am able to do it solo. It can be done. Just gearing is real tough. Yeah. Yeah, here this necklace is great. Like the attack line, very good. For attack speed or just M defense. Getting some stars on her, you give her some more. Probably be a good idea as well. Offer 2. 3 is probably best just for crit damage. Probably. Switching this rune, so switching to an M defense rune instead of HP would also be extremely beneficial. I have spirit. So she currently has 6.4 mil HP, 76. So if we re-runed, she's got 96,000. She only lost 800,000 HP. The damage reduction would be way more beneficial there. Yeah, I'd say for magic side, like for both sides actually, for physical side they want about 100,000 physical defense on the back line, and the magic side you want about 100,000 magic defense on their side as well. That's about the rough number I'd say, is between 100 and 120,000. Super safe. Not too hard to gear. %88 magic defense. Have any? That's only 88, so I mean that's only what? That's just a rune and 2 lines of M defense. So I mean just get like a 3rd or 4th M defense line, and your magic side, priest are fine there. Physical side, so 2 P diffs, that's 48. 3rd. 81 physical defense. 12. And 12 because it's split deep. That's 145. So, I mean, that's only the rune plus 4 defense, because 4 defense lines is 96. So it's just a little more than 4 lines of P. So just like a single bracelet, like 4 PDEF lines, basically like all you need. 5. And then just having a PDEF for your chest piece. In fact, this. What? Do I not have any? I don't. I don't have anything, just says straight P. It has PDEF. Lacking on that chest side, aren't I? No, it has a chest piece E block. I mostly wanted it for the MP sec, but yeah, I already had a PDEF line on it. Well, to block, I had to put on. There's definitely ways to get through this, and if you gear properly. Oh, for TM gear for Celine, depends on what content you want to do with her. I mean, just in general, 2595's good for almost all content. You want to go. So I technically have a couple sets I switched through with Celine. So we have 2 pieces that are defense ignore. The earring and the sub armor are defense ignore to enhance the damage of her S2. Since most content that you use Celine for, you're primarily trying to bank on her defense ignore. That's the main thing to use her over other defense. So we run those 2 defense ignores, and those 2 pieces are almost entirely on at all times. I do switch out the chest and orb, because I have a 2595 orb, 2595 chest. And then when I'm doing longer content like World Boss or Eclipse, then I switch over to a stacking 3%, which I refer to as a 3x12. So I'll switch to these for longer content, because it just gives me more damage once it's stacked up, because it's 36% damage increase instead of 25. It also doesn't have the HP condition. Do more damage all the time, even if HP gets lowered. But generally, the 25-95 is just good all around for most content. And then the only other thing I switch is if I'm doing World Boss 2 where defense damage ignore doesn't matter, I switch to this piece just for the extra 50% attack. Because just defense ignore does not matter or help for Boss 2. So that's like the only content I use slightly different. But it's always these two sets for almost all content. So it's just 2 pieces of 25-95 or 2 pieces of 3x12. And then you're always using 2 defense ignores to maximize your defense ignoring damage. I do believe that's the best way to set up Celine. Hope that helps, Aldo. One more time, but I won't actually complete it. I'll just pause it. But I want to save the tickets to help some guildmates if they want to do some runs. Again, I really recommend you do this with a partner. It makes it significantly easier. Sides can just gear up their best artifacts. Took a while for Klaus to get some healing there. Alright. Yeah, I mean, Celine's a good generalist. She does lose out in a lot of content, though, compared to characters with some better scaling. And because I have multiple DPS built at this point, I am tending to use other DPS and other content. Celine is still my go-to physical DPS. But I am looking for some alternatives. I will probably be looking to build a different World Boss 2 DPS at some point. So there's a couple options I can go there. Roy, I can go Mitra, I can go Cecilia, so I mean I got a couple options there. Probably be looking for whichever one's the most auto-friendly, because I actually just like fighting World Boss 2 or World Boss 1. Yeah, and these bosses don't have particularly high defense, so the defense ignore doesn't help too much, but it's still a pretty big portion of output. So I still err about bringing the 2 defense ignore fight. Minute 17 left on the side. So that was 103 seconds on the first side. So as soon as you start this fight, you have 103 seconds being applied, plus whatever time's ticking in the second fight to determine that's displayed here. So that's why the numbers always look stupid on the magic side. It always seems like your magic side is just doing way less damage, when probably not, if you're geared properly. He actually did the prison early, so we're actually going to break the prison before we get into the 66. But he's still got 30 stacks on us. Goal is to kill the boss before you hit 100 stacks. As long as you don't hit 100 stacks, you're usually fine. Yeah, and that M defense ring, you see Sheb actually got a way more tankier, the 20% HP. She's taking way less damage. He'll heal himself up. $57 anti-heal stacks. Heal numbers definitely go down, but still able to heal up, so once you don't get to the 100, once you get kind of over 80, it starts to get really let's stop it right there real quick just to showcase the damage number. Kara's done 50,467,008. Been in battle for 97 seconds. So her actual DPS is actually 520 million. So if both sides are killing around the same time, you can basically double whatever. Like if it says the DPS 250,000, like just double it. That's what your magic side's actually doing, most likely. That's if both sides are even. That's a good question on the Frey. I believe the Frey UT1, it is invulnerability, so you're not actually getting hit. So it actually shouldn't affect status effects either, including the anti-heal. Yeah, I think Frey's UT1 does actually work on that. Thing is, the Frey's UT1, her S1 is technically AoE now, but I'm very confident that the UT1 effect is only on the initial target. And with perks, you'd only be targeting 2 of your 4 party members. It still could be a good way to get through it. I don't know best option. Because Frey herself, she's usually really dependent on shield to reduce damage, and that prison just breaks your shield. Frey here, quick. I know Isaiah's S3 invincibility does block the heal reduction stacks. That's definite. So I would err on the side that yeah, the damage immunity. It's only for 1 second. It's on an 8-second cooldown, and only on the initial person targeted. Like her S1 now. It used to be just straight single target, just heals the HP of the lowest target ally. But then it also heals HP of nearby allies equal to 40% of the UT1 granting the invulnerability only affects the initial target, not the nearby allies. So I even with the 5-star UT1, which gets it to I believe 2.5 second duration, which is actually pretty awesome. I don't think it affect 2 allies with that every 8 seconds. So it's definitely a lot of invulnerability and would help to reduce stacks overall. But I think just running a priest who offers more damage boosting, like Shea, would help you clear better. I think it's better to just don't worry necessarily about hit counts, surviving, or well, you focus on surviving. Don't necessarily worry about hit counts or the heal reduction stacks. Just try to reduce the boss's HP to 66, 33, and then 0 before it has time to actually stack up on you. That's why I think other magic DPS, like you don't have to use like the high hit counters. You don't need Aisha, you don't need Laudia, you don't need Kara. You can actually probably do the magic side with almost any magic DPS, even ones that don't have high hit count, as long as you just bring enough damage to just push the boss out of the attack, even without the hit count. That's my theory on it, and that's also why if you're doing this solo, I recommend you put the crown on the magic side, which is what I do. So Lavrel's the person with my crown, and I only have 1 crown. I don't have a second crown. So that's what I use. Could try Isaiah, but I think Lavrel's just roll because crit resist reduction, crit damage boost. Yeah, her amps don't work, but you don't perk amps. Perk penetration, extra attack for your highest DPS. More attack as she takes hits, and you're going to take those hits, so she's going to give that 60% attack because of the prison and the random target laser fires. That's always going to stack up. You're always going to have that 20 stacks of so 60% attack to your highest attacker. Yeah, I think Lavrel's way too good here. Like, I don't think you can get around like. So then You got tank, DPS, Lateral, and then you only got one more spot. So, and you pretty much want to use another magic priest. So your options are really Bias, because she can help you get past the heal reduction because of her weapon increasing your heal rate for the whole party, as well as just she gives a ton of magic defense to the party, not only from her unique weapon but her skill 4 also gives a lot of M defense to the party. The problem is she doesn't bring much damage reduction. She does bring good healing. She can definitely heal your party up. The damage reduction effect of 15%, this is toughness, so I believe this does not work against this boss, so all she is doing is healing. The shield gets destroyed, even if you use a shield that's designed to target your highest attacker. It could be a good way to save your DPS outside of the prison, because only the prison breaks shields. But it's still basically negating that skill. And then her third skill is just gives your party mana, and then it does stuns to the enemy, knocks them down. But you don't really CC the boss unless you break the or reduce the hit count meter to 0. So, I mean, Lias is one option if you want to go a more defensive route on this. You can perk the S3 to have a heal effect. Yeah, it heals allies by 15% max HP. So you can do that, but one of her skills, like her S2, is basically negated here, and that's like the only skill that also increases attack for a party member. Like, she just doesn't bring any offense. You're playing an extremely defensive side, Lias. Your other good options are Shea, obviously. I've seen people run Cassandra because of the crit chance boost in replacement of Lateral. But I still think Lateral's just better. Because, yeah, if you run Cassandra with her UT2, she has almost 100% uptime. Yeah, I think it increases it by 5 seconds, so it's 20 seconds on a 20-second cooldown. But because it's autoplay, just sometimes you won't cast it right away, so it's not exactly 100% uptime. It is 700 crit chance. That is going to get you past the crit resist check. But other than that, I mean, her healing's not as strong as other healers. Like, her scaling on her S1 that high. Silence doesn't do anything. The amps from her S1, amps from her S3 doesn't help. And yeah, her amp from her unique weapon. She does periodically heal. Yeah, every 8 seconds heals ally with lowest HP. That's just happening naturally. That's fine, but like, she doesn't really offer much else in her kit other than just being able to give you a ton of crit. I've seen people use her though, effectively. So yeah, so we got Shay, we got Sandra, you got Elias if you want a defensive route. May's an option because May does bring a ton of healing and a ton of attack speed, which could help you break down the stacks quicker. She also just gives your party just a ton of penetration. Full weapon gives a ton of attack. Highest attacker. So she definitely brings some offensive buffs. She does have a ton of healing over time as well. If you perk her with Inner Peace, that's 1%. All allies every second. Her S is also a 1%, but it has an increased heal rate of 50%, so it's actually 1.5% healed every second for 10 seconds. Now, it's 11-second cooldown normally, but if you have her unique weapon, all her skill cooldowns are actually reduced. So even from the base unique weapon, 0.4 off. So it's a 9.6 cooldown. And if you're like me and have a 5-star May, then it's 3.6 seconds off, so the 7.4 second cooldown. So she's healing every 7 seconds. First heal, buddy. And May has actually really good scaling on her S2. Actually heals a ton of HP. So you got basically 2.5% healing that's always active on the whole party. 2.5% of max HP. And then you can run her UT2 just to increase the heal rate on the S2. Or you could run her S1 for the free mana cost on the S1 and just give the party more magic defense. So May's actually probably a pretty good option here. I still generally like Shea better just because of her buffs. Like the CC immunity is really. Kara doesn't need it as much as other characters because she's immune once she gets S3 mode. And then outside of those, Isaiah is her kit's actually really good here. Back down. Brings a ton of healing, the immunity. Only for 3 seconds. Frequently, but it can help with stack reduction. Have to have a lot of recovery on her to doesn't kill herself. A lot of HP, whatever she casts her skills. Yeah, and her shield doesn't work. So, I mean, she has some issues as well. It does increase the defense of your highest attack party member, so that's actually a benefit. Frey, Fallen Frey, they both have issues because the shield being destroyed. Fallen Frey does increase heal rate for the party, and you can perk her S2 defense party, except herself. That can help. Yeah, I think Shay may. I think Shay or May are probably the best priest to bring alongside Ravel, one of those two. But May, you kind of have to have her invested. Kind of a problem. Elias can be good, but you're going definitely a more defensive Elias, and that's going to hurt your damage output. But if you have strong enough DPS, and you're just worried about survival, then yeah, you can definitely run this. That's my thoughts there. Now, let's talk about the physical side a bit, because like I've been using a ranged DPS. If you're using a melee DPS, it's a little more different because you have to deal with the. You won't be able to use the ancient mass to trick your way through the fight, like bypassing the blade spin or blade spiral. One trick that's really damn good. In fact, showcase this. Run Demia. Pete. Where the Klaus at? Block shield. Pete. Chest. Pete. That's the one. This is a fun little trick. So we're gonna put Light Bracelet on Demia. She's gonna recover HP based on defense when she blocks, and then every time her S2 activates, triggers a shockwave that deals damage to the enemy. So every time she's hit by the blade spiral, it hits back to the boss. We're also running the accuracy perk with the Light Bracelet, so we're just giving her 1,000 accuracy just to make sure that the her S2 hits. Like just to showcase this, how fast it shreds stacks. It's actually pretty funny. Stage 3 boss has 200 stacks you have to get through, and this works if you use a physical DPS. So this is a method I would recommend for physical DPS. Demi activates the S2, she's got that yellow orb around her, so every time she's hit and blocks, so you just make sure she has a really high block rate. Lead. The blade spin. Come on. Alright, so here comes the blade spin. So there's the 200 stacks. We're at 2 minutes 36 seconds into the fight. So let's time. How long does it take for the boss to lose all his stacks? Down to 100. All the stacks are gone. Took 18 seconds. Celine has no accuracy. She doesn't even have the accuracy perk from the T2, so she just has her base 100 accuracy. This was basically all Demia by herself. Just yeeted all 200 stacks in 18 seconds. Boom. Boss falls over, and then you put some damage into it. And Demi also increases defense for the party, but not as much as Klaus does, sadly, so therefore got killed. Now, melee DPS have generally higher defense, so usually a bit safer. Yeah, here's again, just look at those stacks shred. Come right off. See all these shockwaves triggering off Demia, she's just going nuts. Yeah, if you're using like a warrior DPS who has just higher physical defense, like you'll be completely safe doing it. I do think Klaus is generally better though, but if you have trouble dealing with the stacks, that's a way to do it. Say for physical side, ranged DPS are really good just because there's so many. Just using the ancient mask on a lone tank is really cheesy for this fight. So I'd say ranged physical DPS are generally better here. We're going to use a melee DPS. Dark Lord, Cassell, and Cecilia are both fantastic options because their hit count. And because they don't miss, they both have just high attack rates. So, like, if you paired one Cecilia or Dark Lord Cassell with a Demia, like, you'd probably like kill all those stacks in like under 10 seconds. It'd be insane. Like, he'd start blade spinning and then just fall over 10 seconds later. Chase is a good option. Really durable and heals absolutely insane amount. Laddie would be really good because he gets a ton of defense from his 5 dark. Amps don't work, but he has a good hit rate. Laddie, Chase, Dark Lord Cassell, or Cecilia would be good melee options. For ranged options, could use Celine works obviously. You could use Enya, be really good. She actually has pretty good damage output, and she has built-in accuracy as well. Unique weapon. Reyna can definitely work as well, melee side. She has invulnerability whenever she has one, so she actually can tank through it, even if she doesn't have higher defense. And she can be perked with invulnerability on her S3, so she can just damage S3 cast. I don't think Rebel Klaus is. Can't block, and that's the main way you. Defense ignore. Like, the boss doesn't actually have high defense. Kind of lose out. I don't recommend you. Might be able to beat it, but I would not recommend it. Roy's probably going to have some trouble because his S2 perfect dodge doesn't work versus the Beyblade because the Beyblade always hits. So that's going to be rough. He does have some invulnerability, I believe, for a couple frames while he's casting the S3 or is the S1. Could dodge some hits. I don't know if I'd recommend. For range physical, you definitely go. Range physical, Lack Rack would definitely work here. Black Rack, Rodinia. Not Yan. Definitely not Yan. Uh, really not a lot of physical range DPS. Lilia can work. I've actually seen her clear it. So yeah, I mean those are your options on physical side. Lilia's gonna have a little bit of trouble though because she is a wizard. Lacks the physical defense that other characters have low defense. Does get some defense from her S2 though. Doesn't have 100% uptime. You have to be a little more defensive, but you can definitely do it, I believe. Actually, I know so because the guildmate of mine actually has done it with. Yeah. Actually, not that many range physical. Yes. I gotta look at it. Celine, Lacrack, Rodinia, Lilia. Isolate doesn't do a lot of damage. Requena, she can do it. Yeah, that's it for like DPS. Like for single targets. I mean, maybe maybe Zephyr could maybe do it if you haven't built up enough. Nyx could do it. Oh, Mitra. Shit, I almost. Yeah, Mitra's actually really good. His damage out fantastic. Since he's got enough time to stack up, and then once he's full stack, he can just kill the last 33 real quick. Yeah, so Mitra would be a good option. It just made me realize like just how few range physical DPS there are. That's cool. Hannes? Full auto Hannah, she's not going to fully stack her ammo up, so I mean, you'd have to perk her with like some of the ammo perks. Might do okay. She has actually pretty good hit count with her S3. Attack. Her basic auto attack actually does hit a lot. Can't benefit from attack speed. Because I think she hits like 5 times per auto or something like that. Yeah, it's 5 times per auto. Yeah, I mean, she's actually got a pretty good attack tempo. Has like accuracy. I'm trying to remember. Mechanics actually higher than normal attackers. Yeah, they have 2. Okay, so they do actually have just extra accuracy. The other classes only have 100, except for Knight. Knight doesn't have any accuracy by default, but all the other classes have 100. The mechanics have 200. It does actually have some extra accuracy. Watch a little bit. Still, yeah, you'd probably want to. Yeah, you'd have to run this probably to stay safe. Because like if you're S3 and you take extra damage from that bleed, that's gonna fucking kill you. How much damage does she take? 25% extra additional damage? Oh, that's fucking scary, dude. Fuck that. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely options. There's definitely characters things. So I did present ways for both ranged and melee DPS on the physical side. Magic side, I don't think it matters between the two. Um, they're both subjected to the same threats in the fight. And again, I can't do a single stream without experiencing the king's rate of experience of crashing. Yeah, it's a feature. God damn it, Vespa. Pop-ups off my screen! Alright, we're gonna go ahead and stop the stream here. I just wanted to showcase this on doing the Arcdim raid X3. So again, I do recommend you group. I am gonna use the rest of my tickets with my guild. I'm like that. But yeah, just wanted to showcase this. Oh, I hit the days on. So awkward. Alright. Got the unique weapon for it. Thought I did.
Welcome back. Thank you for your hard work.
I don't have 1,000 weapon. It was 500 or I swear it said 1,000. Oh, there it is. Finally. Alright, fucking confused me. Oh man. Open. Still haven't decided who I'm gonna build yet next. Cash tickets for a bit. Just decision later. 10-starred Estelle and Isaiah a couple days ago. Got a lot of stuff covered. Any shop.
May's general store. Look around.
Nothing. Alright, yeah, you're gonna stop the stream. Thanks for coming, everybody. I hope this video helps on explaining Arcdim Raid and how to get past some of the stuff. Just short recap. Physical side, if you're running ranged DPS, use Ancient Mask on your tank. Completely nullify the fight. Use Klaus with UT2. Deal with crit resistance. Using physical DPS, I recommend using Demia with accuracy, and her S2 effect will allow you to destroy stacks really quickly. For magic side, Orb of Contract is extremely valuable on your main DPS. For both sides, your vulnerable party members, your backliners, your supports, want about 100k physical or magic, depending on which, for survivability. Magic side, you'll probably want some block too to help. Physical side does not need the block necessarily because the main threat is actually the bleed, and with enough physical defense. Alright, take care everyone. Have a good night.